Find out how one local chef overcame his addiction and his inspirational message to others. There's no doubt that Emerson Frisbee has a passion for cooking. He's the executive chef of the butcher shop and started cooking as a teenager. This past October also marks 4.5 years of sobriety for Emerson. Even though they were initially skeptical, his parents supported his decision not to go to college.
You're not going to be living at school, you should probably contribute to your gas fund, you know.
He got his first food service job at a specialty store.
They had a bunch of different departments, and I started out like working in the prepared foods area, and then after that they were like, hey, do you want to learn how to make bread? So I started doing their like pastry program in the morning. I would go in from like 4 to 7 a.m. Before school and like making doughs, forming doughs, like baking bread.
Emerson grew up in a well-to-do family in Washington, Connecticut.
So I grew up in a family that was, upper middle class, well-educated, from a really affluent community. It's not like I was in with a bad crowd or anything, and I can't really say that I had like a traumatic upbringing or anything.
Emerson's drug use started off as experimentation that eventually got out of hand.
I started out like just smoking weed and drinking, and then like I had a lot of friends who were older than me who were, into other things, and I always kind of like looked at it from afar as like, oh, it's never gonna be me.
Emerson then moved on to harder drugs.
I would try something, and like maybe I would like it a little bit, but it wasn't really my cup of tea. And then I would move on to something else. Most of what I was using was, hallucinogens and like, psychotropic substances. And from there, like, sort of like the counterculture that I became a part of, like, really just introduced new stuff to me. Like, I started following like Fish and the Grateful Dead, and along with that came like a lot of new experimentation.
Then Emerson discovered heroin.
It wasn't until like I found heroin that I was like, all right, this is my thing. Like I like the way it makes me feel. I like the ritual involved. I like, just kind of everything.
But he didn't feel as dependent as other people.
Over the years, like I had a lot of friends who either overdosed or, fell victim to other consequences of their own use. At times that was like a sobering deterrent, like that was enough to get me to be like, all right, you're kind of going a little too hard right now, maybe you need to back up.
Emerson did try to get sober on his own.
I moved up to Burlington, Vermont with a bunch of friends, and I had the intention of like going to culinary school up there, and once I got a job and like got into the scene, like it kind of, that was like, all right, I'm not gonna waste my money going to school, I'm just gonna work. I'm gonna like get into some good kitchens, and along with that came like this, party scene. It was kind of like, Bourdain talking about like sex, drugs, and cooking.
Then everything started to catch up with him.
My fiancee at the time was also strung out and like was clearly like not able to handle it. Like, whereas like I could get up and go to work every day and do my job, and like maybe people thought things once in a while, but like for the most part nobody was really suspecting that it was as bad as it was. She was just like a mess.
Then everything came to a head in 2015.
When it got bad enough and she got called out at work, my older brother and a couple of friends basically showed up at work.
His brother then did something completely unexpected.
Friday dinner service, about to do pre-meal, and my brother, who lived in New York, showed up. He said, look, like, I talked to Pat, who was my buddy that worked for the treatment center, and he was like, there's a plane ticket waiting for you, there's a scholarship to treatment waiting for you, like, either you can try and do it the right way this time, or, like, you can try and figure it out on your own.
Emerson then told everyone what was going on.
At that point, I, came clean to everybody and was like, this is what's been going on, and this is how long it's been going on. And so, yeah, I got on the plane and flew down to Fort Lauderdale, and they picked me up and brought me to a treatment center on Singer Island.
After going through rehab and moving to a halfway house, Emerson worked his way up to become executive chef at EMCO, where he stayed for a couple or so years before joining the butcher shop. Now he uses his journey to help others.
Like, in the same way that it's on me to give back to somebody what was given to me, it's the same thing in the business. You know, like today I'm able to hire people, to give people an opportunity that was given to me. You know, sometimes it works out in my favor and sometimes it doesn't.
How does Emerson stay clean?
Either I was gonna get clean or I was probably gonna die. Like, you know, I'd overdosed a couple times before, and I'd watched people overdose in front of me. I'd lost lots of good friends.
And his message to others also struggling with addiction?
My motto is basically like, I do what I have to do so I can do what I want to do, you know, and that means that like I have to put my recovery first, you know. There's mornings where I don't want to get out of bed and go to a 7 a.m. meeting, but like I have to be at work at 10 a.m. and I might not be able to make one that day. You know, it's really just like whatever you put into it is what you're going to get out of it.
Emerson also credits his love and dedication to cooking to keeping him from falling back into his old ways.
All the time and energy that I used to put into getting high, I could put into my craft. You know, on my Instagram, I say like that this is, you know, the story of how cooking saved my life, and it has. You know, like I think if I didn't have something that I could immerse myself in, and something that allowed me, you know, a creative outlet, but also allowed me to feel like I had a purpose, I probably would have had a harder time staying clean this long.
This is Sabrina Lolo reporting for CBS12.com.